Hello everybody. Well, I'm going to try to keep this one simple and non-judgmental, just an observation. Years and years ago, at least 20 plus years ago, the very first time I came to Japan, I stayed in a Buddhist temple here in Shizuoka. This is well before I met my wife. No, it was more than 20. It's like 26 years ago. Yeah, because I've known Yumiko 24 years. It must have been 26 years ago. And I stayed here in Shizuoka in a Buddhist temple, a Zen Buddhist temple. And I remember the daughter of the priest taking me one day out to the graveyard and showing me this one plot. And she said, "This is where I'll be buried." And I was stunned. I was startled. Couldn't believe it. The young son of hippies that I am, to imagine that a young woman like that could actually point out the spot where her ashes would rest one day. She said, I can foresee my whole life, the entire life ahead of me, being the only child of the priest. Her destiny is to marry a man who will become a priest and take over the temple. It's a family temple. So she said, I know my whole entire life. Every stage of my life is basically before me, and I know where my ashes will rest. And I was stunned and startled at that point in my life. This was my first getting used to Japan, and ideas such as commitment and obligation for life were new to me. And I'm just bringing this up again. I'm thinking about it again as it's April, and it's a renewal. It's time for companies are starting their new years with new employees this week. Children are going back to school. The whole cycle of renewal is starting again this year. And what I wanted to point out was that young people fresh out of college are on their way to their jobs. They're making their welcoming ceremonies where they'll make speeches and introduce themselves. And I'm not kidding you, these people are fresh-faced. They are young. These are kids that were in university last month and are right off with no break, starting their commitment to their careers. And their jobs, as freshmen in their company, are going to be very, very challenging, very, very hardworking, no turning around, no looking back, and for the most part in Japan, a lifetime obligation. That's the ideal in Japan of commitment and career for life. Now, the reason why this is startling to me is that it's such a contrast to the experience that I grew up with, which is one of blowing in the wind and exchanging one idea for another and one career path for another, re-educating oneself when whim and maturity brought about a change of heart, seeking out a different career, a different way of doing things, a total new path, really blowing in the wind. That's the way I was raised. I remember I was raised by pseudo-hippies to basically follow my mind, follow my inspiration, and that's what I've done all my life. As a result, I haven't acquired very much in terms of material possessions, but I've certainly blown here and there and all over the place, for better or worse. And I'm not arguing again. It's not a value judgment about one system versus the other. In fact, I think there's a lot to be said for the Japanese system in terms of giving long-term stability and peace, especially for families and especially for children in many ways. However, for me, watching these young faces, basically without break, without respite, from kindergarten on, ready to embark upon a career that they will likely have for the rest of their lives until they retire and become basically in the waning last years of their lives, it's a startling difference compared to the ideal that I was raised with, and the experience that really is in the American mind. I am an American, so that's all I can speak of. The pursuit of happiness is even in our dang constant Declaration of Independence. The pursuit of happiness is a paramount element in our lives, often at the sacrifice of so much else. Whereas in Japan, the pursuit of stability, the pursuit of peace, the pursuit of harmony is very often foremost. Okay, I'll just leave you with those thoughts as we begin new year with new kids, new employees, and a new cycle in life. Take care, everybody. Have a great day.